Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, the Batman Bruce Wayne. This is Bruce Wayne in his drifter suit. Bruce Wayne would wear this when going around the city, kind of in disguise. Now there is a variation of this guy. This one here has a facial covering on his mouth. There's another version without that, and that's going to be a Target exclusive. I got my figure from a CMD store, so let's go ahead and check out the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane toys, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse, the Batman, Bruce Wayne. Here he is in the package. Pretty much a guy, regular clothes, leather jacket, he has a backpack. He also has a display stand and collector's card. One side of the package, Bruce Wayne from the Batman. Other side, simply says Bruce Wayne. The bottom, a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. And on the back side, here's the Drifter Bruce Wayne with the Drifter motorcycle. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting 3 of these figures, one of which to open and enjoy as is, one to keep unopened, and then one to head swap. I think it would make for a great base body for just a random thug or henchman in Gotham City. Here's my entire collection of McFarlane DC Multiverse, the Batman figures unopened. I believe I have absolutely everything except for the upcoming Target exclusive Unmasked Drifter. If the movie's a big hit like I hope it's going to be, they might make some more figures, but I believe that's the entire collection so far. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does come with a display stand, a collector's card, and a backpack. But before we take a look at the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Bruce Wayne. He's in his drifter outfit. Bruce Wayne is played by Robert Pattinson. Now the drifter is sort of his, I don't know, alter ego when he's getting around the city. Some ways it kind of reminds you of Matchett Malone from the comics or the cartoon. Drifter is in his sort of street clothes. He can get around and no one knows he's Batman, nor Bruce Wayne. Let's go ahead and take a look at him. As you can see, his hair is a little bit wild. He's got the black makeup around the eyes, so presumably he had the bat cowl on recently. This guy has a facial covering. Looks like he's ready for COVID-19 protection in the modern day and age. There is an alternate version with no facial covering. That guy's going to be Target exclusive. Been hunting for him, but have not seen him yet. Overall, he looks okay. Now the biggest issue I have, his jacket is just super bulky. It looks really weird, really bloated. Shoulders are way too high. The hood, it all looks a little off. The face itself is kind of scary. Of course, we got this sort of emo look, and we have the side eyes. I mean, I see what they were trying to go for. My biggest problem is this torso area. It just looks off. It just looks so bloated. It's because they made it sort of rubbery and big. If they had made it this material, I think it would have looked a lot better. Overall, it's kind of a fail here. I do think I'm going to do this head swap and give it to be some sort of thug in Gotham City. Hopefully that'll look good. It almost seems like kind of waste. It just looks kind of bizarre. Going further down, he's got the gloves with no fingers. Big bulky pants as well. I'd say they look a little too big in this area here. Cargo shorts. It looks like single jointed knees and single jointed elbows. Everything's just so big and bulky, it's hard to make double jointed without making it look hideous. Black shoes. Overall, I can get what they're going for, and I'm happy they made this figure, but I really think this torso area is a fail. And just a closer look at his face, or head sculpt. Now, I think I prefer the facial covering to the non-facial covering, but the dark around the eyes doesn't look super good. And then, of course, you have the side eyes to make it even more annoying. And one more thing about his head. I personally am looking forward to getting the kind without the facial covering. I'm going to buy an extra one of him. That way we can take the head off. Maybe I can make a custom regular Bruce Wayne. Of course, I have to repaint the head, the makeup around the eyes. Yes, it makes sense in the context of the figure, but if I want to make a custom Bruce Wayne, that's going to have to go. Now let's take a look at his accessories. And let's start with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. Black perfect circle. Says DC at the bottom. One peg for the peg holes on his feet. Very thin. Very basic. Now let's take a look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of the Drifter Bruce Wayne. He's got the Drifter motorcycle. Bruce Wayne from the Batman. On the back side, there's a little description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Then we have his backpack. It is completely brown. You can see all the little sort of pockets and pouches. A lot of sculpt in detail on this thing. Another paint job. Bringing out some of the details here would really make this thing look better. Little handle here. It looks like you can hold at the top. Then it's got these straps. It's made of a rubber material. Very bendy. Here's Bruce Wayne without the backpack on. Then, with the backpack on, it's really easy to get on and off. And yes, he can hold the backpack with the handle at the top. Although the way the straps are, it doesn't look natural like this. There's also this helmet here. This didn't come with the Drifter Bruce Wayne figure, but it came with the Drifter motorcycle. It's going to be interchangeable with this regular head. Now it doesn't go on top. It'll actually completely replace the head. Nice little bonus. Of course, you really want to have the Drifter motorcycle and the Drifter Bruce Wayne if you're going to have one or the other. Here's the Drifter Bruce Wayne with his facial covering head on. And here he is with the motorcycle helmet on. Since we're doing head swaps, we might as well continue. Here he is with the head from the unmasked Batman. I believe this is the exact same head that's going to come with the unmasked Drifter Bruce Wayne. And since I got two of these Drifter Bruce Wayne figures to open, my intent was to head swap and make one of them a random thug from Gotham City. But in the meantime, I can pretend like I have both versions. Even though I have not located the unmasked version yet, simply head swap with the unmasked Batman. Here's the Drifter Bruce Wayne head with a facial covering on top of a Batman suited body. I actually think this looks really cool, kind of like a ninja Batman. Here's the Drifter Bruce Wayne body with the unmasked Ben Affleck Batman head from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Shout out to my boy, D Sniper 98. He asked me to show this. He thought this might be sort of a cool version of Ben Affleck as he's scouting looking for Aquaman. So I still have this extra Drifter Bruce Wayne body that I plan to make a thug out of. Here he is with a Jazzwares AEW Wrestling Santana head. Hispanic guy, got a bandana. Looks pretty good. He's got dark skin tone compared to Bruce Wayne, but you can't see any skin around the neck area, so it blends pretty good. And here it is, with a Mattel Wrestling Undertaker Elite figure. This guy also has bandana on. Kind of has that sort of biker image for him. I think they both look really nice with this Drifter body. There is one more accessory you can use for this figure, and that is the Drifter motorcycle. Pretty much a regular looking motorcycle, no bat features whatsoever, intended for Bruce Wayne when he's in disguise around the city. Here's the Drifter Bruce Wayne riding on the Drifter motorcycle. Fits pretty nicely, although his butt's a little bit off the seat. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 7.1 inches tall, which can translate to about 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down about that far, not too impressive there. Can tilt his head from one side to the other, give him a good amount of personality. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He does have a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, although you can't see it. I can tell it increases the range of motion. No bicep cut. Single jointed elbow, goes in considerably less than 90 degrees. Does have rotation. His wrist can rotate. It's going to be hinged as well. Now his torso here, it does have some articulation inside, but it's really pretty much pointless. Sure, you can bend him a little bit, but his jack is just going to bounce it right back to the way it was. He's got some kind of ball joint in his waist. You can actually get a lot of that, rotate around, forward and back. Legs, Pretty much does the splits, not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation, not too bad. Legs go forward about that far, back that much. He's got a thigh cut, one of the rare McFarlane figures to have that. Single jointed knees go back about this far with rotation. And this ankle here goes forward and back, can rotate, can tilt, rock, and he has toe articulation. Here's Bruce Wayne and Alfred in the Batcave. He's putting on his drifter disguise. And here's the drifter Bruce Wayne driving down the streets of Gotham. And a closer look at the drifter Bruce Wayne riding through Gotham streets. Driving around in disguise, nobody can tell who he is. Here's the drifter Bruce Wayne watching things in Gotham City from behind the scenes. He gets off his motorcycle. He's trying to join up with a bunch of biker gang street thugs, trying to get some information. They're very suspicious of him. He knows he's in trouble when they all start pulling out weapons. Bruce Wayne quickly jumps into action, takes his helmet, and knocks out the first thug. He ends up taking out the rest of the thugs really quick. Ends up making short work of the rest of the street henchmen, but he didn't get the information he was looking for. Here's Batman taking out a couple of makeshift thugs made from these drifter Bruce Wayne bodies. I actually think this came out every bit as good as I hoped. Now let's check him out, next to some other action figures, starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, with the first assortment of McFarlane the Batman figures. This wave consisted of Batman, Catwoman, and the Riddler. And while it's not exactly relevant to this drifter Bruce Wayne, I did get 3 of these Riddler figures. In trailer number 3, I saw Batman fighting 3 or 4 people wearing this outfit, so we know that Riddler's going to have some decoys in the film. And here's the second assortment of figures from the Batman. We have Unmasked Batman, Drifter Bruce Wayne with facial covering, the Penguin, and a masked Catwoman. Here's my entire collection of McFarlane the Batman figures. The only one I'm missing is the Drifter Bruce Wayne without the facial covering. Looking to get that one anytime now. And let's not forget about these cycles, the Bat Cycle and the Drifter Motorcycle, just to complete the McFarlane the Batman collection. Here he is, next to several different Batman figures. These are all from the comics. Then, next to some more Batman figures. These are from different various forms of media. Here's this Drifter Bruce Wayne, next to the live-action Justice League from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League exists in the DC Cinematic Universe and is completely separate from the Batman. And here he is, next to McFarlane's The Suicide Squad collection. The Suicide Squad also exists in the DC Cinematic Universe. And then, next to the live-action Arrow figure, until these The Batman figures, the Arrow was the only live-action DC figure that wasn't from the DC Cinematic Universe. He's from CW's Arrowverse. Now let's check him out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to a couple of Lex Luthor figures. Then, next to Superboy Prime and the Dark Knight Returns Armored Batman Blue Edition. Here he is, next to a couple of Lobo figures. Then, with the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn and the Mortal Kombat 11 Joker. Here he is, next to the Year 2 Batman. And now, next to the recently released Batman 3 Joker's Wave. And here he is, next to all 3 McFarlane Swamp Thing Mega figures. Then, next to the Batman Who Laughs and Robin Crow's 4-pack. And here, next to Nightwing and Red Hood from Gotham Knights. And finally, next to the Speed Force Flash from Zack Snyder's Justice League and Reverse Flash from DC's Rebirth Comics. Here's the Bruce Wayne Drifter Robert Pattinson figure by McFarlane, next to a NECA, Robert Pattinson, Edward from Twilight. And since McFarlane doesn't seem to be making an Alfred or Gordon from the Batman, I'll supply my own. Here's the Drifter Bruce Wayne, next to a DST or Diamond Select Toys Alfred from Gotham, and Bernard from Westworld. This Alfred from Gotham doesn't look like Andy Serkis, but works as a generic 7-inch Alfred. And then Bernard from Westworld is played by the same actor who plays Commissioner Gordon, and he's in a similar Riddler-type outfit. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale, I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect and work my way smaller. Here he is with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next is more McFarlane figures. These are from different various video game properties. And now, next is some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, with some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, next to some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, it's a cool figure, but I feel like they really fucked up his torso area. He's just so bloated and bulky looking. I don't know how relevant the Drifter is going to be in the movie, as the movie's not out yet, but I assume it's going to be a big part of the film. He's probably going to don that disguise numerous times. For my personal unique needs, it's going to make for a great thug for my overall action figure collection, and when the Unmasked Drifter comes out, I'll have a couple extra bodies to put some thug heads on. His articulation is actually kind of poor. Single jointed knees, single jointed elbows, some useless torso articulation that can't really sustain itself. Accessory, nothing really great there. His backpack, I mean, it's nice, and I can definitely find a lot of uses for it. Sculpt and paint job, they're nice. Face doesn't look the best, and I'm kind of sick of these side eyes, that's for sure. If I had to rate this figure, probably going to give him a 6 out of 10. If it weren't for his legs and torso being so bulky, he'd definitely get a higher score. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.